Hello friends, welcome to the Handyman Devlog. I'll be honest with you, it's been a little bit of a challenging month since last I spoke to you, and let's go ahead and get some of the bad stuff out of the way here. So first of all, the wiki. As I mentioned in the last devlog, I had put quite a bit of time into updating the wiki and getting it up to speed, and that trend continued on past the last devlog, and I got all the way up to day 7. Got everything in there for day 7, and basically as soon as I had done that, I got a notice from fandom saying that they were going to shut the wiki down. Shut specifically the Handyman games wiki down. Now that's their prerogative, and I can't do anything about that, but they were at least nice enough to leave it up so that I could copy the data out of it, which I have done, and as of this recording right now, the wiki is still alive, but who knows, by the time I post this video, maybe it'll already be down. But I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do, but eventually the information will be back up somewhere. It may just be in a regular web page format, but somewhere down the line the information will get back out there. But at the moment, I'm not super excited about digging through all that again. Another thing that I talked about in the previous devlog was that I had said that I had upgraded to the universal render pipeline in Unity, and I got a very painful lesson in the meantime about how that was not actually the case. It was really just a misunderstanding on my part in regard to what was happening during one of the updates for Unity, but in the meantime, I did actually try to upgrade to the universal render pipeline, and that was a catastrophe. I basically spent a week upgrading all of my materials to the universal render pipeline, and then after getting everything set, deciding that I really didn't like it, and then changing everything back. And that whole process took about a week, and it was not very fun. Those weren't the only issues I ran into in this past month, but let's move on to some fun stuff. So raise your hand if you've run into this situation before. I think we probably all have, and I'm sick of it, so I decided to fix it once and for all. So what's happening here is that every interactable object has the potential to have multiple interaction points. So you can see here with the chair actually has 3 interaction points as designated by those yellow sphere shapes. And that works really well for most things. The issue comes into play when it comes to the doors, because the doors have interaction points on each side of the door, and if a door is closed, Grant actually can't get to the interaction point on the opposite side of the door, which makes sense, but he will always go to whatever interaction point happens to be closest. So in the case of Grant being close to the door and the interaction point on the opposite side of the door being technically closer to Grant, that's why that issue comes up. So the way I worked around this is by actually removing one of the interaction points, but having the lone interaction point switch what location it's at depending on where Grant is in the dorm. So if he's inside the room, the interaction point will switch to the place inside the room, and if he's outside the room, the interaction point will switch to being outside the room. And that should remove that problem entirely. So another bug that I actually wasn't aware of is this one where you would go and you'd get the hammer, you'd get the nails, and you get your brackets, and then, especially if you're a new player, you might go and pick up the shelf to try and install the shelves. It makes sense. But you can't actually use the shelf, or you can't hold the shelf while you try to install the brackets. And that's intentional, but the issue comes up in that the game will tell you that you need the hammer and nails when you actually need to put down the shelf, and that can be very confusing. So it actually does tell you that you need to put down the shelf, but it tells you first that you need the hammer and nails, which is confusing, particularly if you already have the hammer and nails. So that issue is now fixed, and we'll have hopefully fewer people pulling their hair out wondering what the heck is going on here. So I am basically simultaneously working on starting day 9 and finishing off day 8. If you recall from the previous devlog, I talked about possibly releasing the rest of day 8 on sometime during this month, but that didn't happen as it's the end of the month. Some of that has to do with the issues that I talked about earlier with the universal render pipeline causing me issues and the wiki, but it's also just a bit of more complicated scene that I'm adding to the game. It's something a bit different, and it's actually going to have a new mini game. So the game's going to look something like this. This is a fairly early prototype, but the general idea is going to be the same of you are controlling a ball and you're trying to keep it on the edge, essentially, and build up something, we'll say. But yeah, that's about all I'll say right now, but it will be part of the new scene for sure. Also in the next update, we're going to get some new items for both our oldest and our newest girls. For Tanya, she is going to get herself a new hairstyle. And Sonam is going to get herself a new outfit. So the next update is 0.8.3, and I guess the question is, when are you going to get it? And the answer is, I don't know. I kind of want to keep working on it simultaneously with day 9 and have it be a little bit more of a stopgap, and so you're not completely starved for stuff for as long a period of time as I work on day 9, because I am just very early in day 9. So I guess I'll give you the first update on day 9. I am very early on it, maybe 5% of day 9 is done. There will be 2 new characters, so that is kind of what I've been working on mostly in regards to day 9, is getting those characters up and running, and then there's a lot of work to be done after that. So I think that's really all I want to say about day 9 for right now. I think that's going to do it for this devlog, so thanks guys for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.